3DO.
Phineas Vilmar, also known as Deathnell, was a king of Desia and one of the masterminds behind the attack on Erathia that resulted in the Restoration Wars. Obsessed with power and determined to avenge the Necromancers, Vilmar raised Nicholas Griffonhart from his grave to act as his commander, but found himself slain by his own creation. This is his story. Before the Restoration Wars, Phineas owned a few holdings in the barren corners of the realm of Desia. A power-hungry lord, Phineas was seeking new ways to extend his influence. The kingdom of Desia was going through a time of turmoil, as the Erathian king, Nicholas Griffonhart, successfully battled against the Necromancers and pushed them further north, banishing them once and for all from their holdings in the south. However, this shift of power balance between the two nations would not last long. When the necromancer Sandro reached Desia, after successfully extorting two powerful artifacts from two heroes that unwittingly aided him on his rise to power, he saw his chance to use Phineas Vilmar for his own ends. Though one could argue that Phineas Vilmar's thirst for power and revenge against the Erathians made him a virtually unstoppable necromancer, the ability of political manipulation and battle tactics eluded him. Sandro excelled in both, and so together they would make plans on taking over Desia and then the rest of Antagorich. Phineas and Sandro first met at the Desian border, and Sandro used his powers of persuasion to compel Phineas into trusting him impeccably. With his political and tactical prowess, Sandro led Phineas' armies to victory over Duke Alaris, the undead lord of a contested Desian region, impressing the current king with such a stunning show of force and ability. Soon afterwards, Phineas and Sandro overthrew the king of Desia, and Phineas became the new ruler. Sandro was content to be the shadow whispering orders into the new puppet king's ears. When Jem, Zelu, Grakhag, and Yog invaded Desia to avenge the crimes committed by Sandro, they wiped out most of his opposition. Phineas sent Sandro to deal with the invaders, secretly hoping that his courtier would end up being killed in battle. With Sandro away, the other court lords in Moldor, the Desian capital, began whispering into the puppet king's ear, but Sandro did not fall in battle and made a brief return to the court of Castle Gloaming before defeating his enemies. Phineas, disturbed to see him, dismissed the court early and retreated into his private chambers to collect himself. Sandro followed and confronted his puppet, reminding Vilmar that it was he who put him on the throne, and it was he who could remove him from it. With a small spell, Sandro permanently emblazoned the impression of his bony fingertips on Vilmar's chest. Phineas would not soon cross Sandro again. Sandro defeated the enemy heroes in a climactic battle at Bragden, who retreated to the west of Antagorich and regrouped their forces. In secret, they recovered the lost Angelic Alliance sword, invading Desia again and using it to wreak havoc on Sandro's armies. Phineas participated in the last battles, but he and Sandro were forced to retreat when the heroes claimed Sandro's almighty artifacts. Sandro, weakened but not willing to give up, started a new plan for domination. He mastered the Kriegans and the Dungeon Overlords to plot an invasion of Erathia. In the meantime, the double agent Lord Hart, who worked for the Necromancers all along, would use the Erathian king's trust to infiltrate his court and poison him. Though Sandro's initial plots worked well, and the Krigan and Dungeon Overlords were ready to invade, Phineas tricked Sandro into attacking Smeth, a Desian lord loyal to the crown, subsequently imprisoning his former courtier as a traitor. With the infuriated Sandro in prison, King Phineas took all the credit for his schemes and began planning the invasion further. Phineas' primal goal was to resume the necromancer's scheme of revenge against Erathia for their banishment by King Nicholas Griffenheart earlier in the century. Lord Hart was successful on his mission, and King Griffenheart was killed in his sleep after drinking a glass of wine full of poison. Phineas Wilmar stole into Griffenheart's tomb in the city of Stonecastle with an artifact called the Spirit of Oppression. Phineas then performed a ritual to reanimate the former monarch as an undead lich, thinking that he would control Nicholas and learn Erathia's secrets. The reanimation spell worked, but Phineas overestimated his own powers, as the risen Lich King was too great a force to be controlled. Upon stepping from his sarcophagus, Nicholas stood before Phineas Wilmar and destroyed his undead corpse. Phineas' pride and lust for power proved to be his downfall. Without Sandro's guide, Phineas' reign did not last long, and the throne of Desia was taken by the new Lich King, the reanimated corpse of Nicholas Griffenheart. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe on this channel and consider supporting me on Patreon. Leave a comment below to let me know what other parts of Heroes 3 lore you would like to be explored next. Cheers!